Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Pedro and I will be with you shortly. Audio check, audio check, audio check. Good morning, everybody. While you're waiting for us to get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that share button, send this off to one of your trading groups or internet forums or Reddit or wherever it is that you have people that will follow your lead. The more people share it, the more times we get to read those Rumble ads, and we really enjoy that. I'm getting good practice at it. Be with you shortly. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Thank you for joining DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to be hosting this award-winning show here on the great interwebs. It is June 12th, 2025. Every day I say it's one day closer to Christmas, one day closer to my birthday, and one day closer to the supernova going sun and taking care of all your crypto FOMO problems once and for all. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Got another good show for you today. As always, every show is great. You can't believe it. You got to share it with everybody. Please take a moment to do that. Hit like, share, do us a favor. Get the word out about this show. The more people we get to watch, the more ads we get to read, the more fat cash we get to earn from our Rumble Creator Program. Yesterday, it was 86 cents. Anyway, we've got a good show for you today. The market's was a little messy this morning. Trump opened his mouth again and tariff talks again. This time, once again, floating the idea of a unilateral tax to stop the individual negotiating. The market swooned as a result. Just yesterday, they were on, the administration was on TV saying there's not going to be any more talks about it. We're not going to mention China or anything like that. And today, Trump opens his mouth again and says this. And so the markets, boop, enough of that. As a result, also NASDAQ sinks, BTC sinks. I can't read my own writing here. Sinks a smidge, and alts still suffer. BTC dominance still up there pretty well. And when the markets are, when the administration puts doubt in the markets, as you may suspect, I'll still suffer. Also, we got stablecoin mania. Yep, that's right. We talked about this a lot on this show. In fact, last Thursday was Stablecoin Thursday. But today we're just talking about Facebook. And Elizabeth Warren is not happy about Facebook talking about having their own currency again. Every bank on the planet can, every financial institution, every crypto project can now seemingly have a stable coin, but if Facebook says we're going to have a stable coin, no, this is bad. Fortunately, Elizabeth Warren doesn't have much power. We'll talk about that later. And also in international news, the Philippines finally sets rules for crypto. People were operating there without a license or any oversight at all. Not that that was a big place for problems, but the Philippines is a home to a tremendous expatriate community. Millions and millions of Filipinos work around the world and send money home all the time. And they've started to do, they're avoiding expensive ways of doing it and doing it now in less expensive ways, and that involves crypto. So a lot of people are receiving crypto in the Philippines, thus they want exchanges to off-ramp it, to buy goods and stuff like that. And all of a sudden the crypto world is exploding in the Philippines. And the Philippine government said, time to regulate this, make a little tax money too while we're at it. Anyway, so got a good show for you today. Pedro is supposed to be here this morning. He said he was going to be here. And he's late, as we all know. He has been dealing with getting a new car. He bought a whopper of a car yesterday. He's probably dealing with it again today. Anyway, thank you to everybody watching us on Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. Really appreciate it. As I was saying, Bitcoin is swooning, as you can see from the chart over here on my side. Pulled back from its highs. You know what? Let me get the whole graph thing going here. Let's get the API running here. This stopped working halfway during the show yesterday. Let's see if it works today. And it does. It does work. Let's see if we can get it going here. And the current price of Bitcoin, I believe that to be it. Getting a terrible ad in my ad. Why is my... There we go. Still got the intro music going here. Let me fix that for you, ladies and gentlemen, so you don't go crazy there. What should we listen to? Maybe a little lo-fi today? Live in lo-fi, how about that? All right, let's get back at it here. As we can see, the Bitcoin is at 107. It was pushing those $110,000. As you can see, not as you can see from this chart. I'm on the wrong time frame. I almost just FOMO'd into the market there. Just quickly here, this is a 1 minute BTC chart here. And you see it cross the red here is the 200 period moving average on the 1 minute chart. Generally, once it crosses that, it FOMOs up. It pumps up above that for a little bit. It's not been so reliable lately in this tariff talk market. But this orange line here, the 20-day moving, first the 8 period moves up into it. That's a bull sign here. And then when this 21 period or 20 period moves up and crosses the red line there, generally a bullish indicator. So I'm waiting. That's going to take about 2 minutes to do that. Wait to see if it does that, and if it creates the bull thing. And then I'm going to FOMO into it. No, it's not a FOMO into it, but it's one of the models I've been allowing myself to trade in real money. As you guys know, I've been getting back into the world of trading. And I've been using a demo account for a while until I can show that I'm profitable with my trades. And I was in the demo account. And even though the demo account is not real money, in certain trades, when you follow your model and you see if your plan works out, not just like, oh, market looks good, click. But you watch the market develop, you say it's doing this, moving averages are doing that, yada, 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 this time of day. And you're looking at your rules and that type of stuff, and you say, yeah, that's going to play out. And two people named Crypto Lifer and Master Friend have taught me, are teaching me to stay within those rules. And so one of my rules is that if that all these rules form a model, a trading model in the setup, and this is my setup here. It's one of them, one of two, really three, that I allow myself to trade with real money, big money here. I mean, we're talking size. This is, I mean, nobody on YouTube is going to trade this much here. It's usually between $5 and $10. You know, you got to learn. If you're going to learn with real money, you know what? Make sure you're not trying to live off that money, or it's the rent money or something like that. But anyway, it looks like it's starting to, and I'm actually gonna buy this and go long on it right now. But I got to talking too much. And let's see. Let's put. Let's see. Let's put 2,500, which equals $7 in margin. And we're going to open that long there and see if the model plays out. We put our stop loss in just under the 200 here at 107.193. Let's see. 107, we'll just round it to 190. Right under the 200 period moving average. So if the trade doesn't play out, stop loss will kick in. Look at that, did a live trade on this. Now remember, I'm learning at this. I'm learning. I did this a long time ago, 40 years ago in the markets in New York. Not 40, well, it was summer of 1986, my first summer there. So 39 years ago, I first paid attention to commodities and trading markets. Let's see here, what do we got here? We got Crypto Mike in the house. Thank you for joining us, Crypto Mike. Always welcome on this show. Look for and of course, you get your O Canada. Anyway, what I was saying was I took this trade here because it fit my trading model, and which I've been beating into my head that I have to stay within rules. And you write down your rules in your journal. I have one of these. I call this the Great Book of Rugs because I've used it for everything from Rugged, Ruined, and Wrecked to DYOR Live and everything. But I also am journaling my trades in it, the things I learn trading. Sorry, I was just trying to see if that music was too loud. Crypto Mike, let me know if that music is too loud. Thanks, dude. Anyway, let's go back into Bitcoin a little bit further back here and talk about it. Let's see, I'm already up $2.50 in this trade. That's how you roll. That's how you make the big money, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's. I'm not going to go back like a weekly and daily type of stuff because I don't have the skills yet to really look at that. Other than things that I've noticed that we have had a divergence, which somebody pointed out to me. At any time there's a big price drop, there's going to be a divergence here. And so you can see that price action has higher lows and the RSI has lower lows. And this turns out that it fits the model for hidden bullish divergence, a variation of bullish divergence. It's just telling you that The market seems to be turning around for a reversal, and the market's turning bullish. And here in this one, what I've learned from watching and paying attention to the guy that comes on before me, Crypto Lifer, in the 10 to 12 slot, these divergences are very important because they can call reversals. And I've been particularly bad at figuring them out. Notice both of these are lows on the low side of the price action and on the low side of the RSI. And I was mixing them up. I was drawing on the high side. I was drawing different lengths, like, well, you can't see me, but far down there. So it would be the line on this would be this much time period, and then the line up here would be this much time period, and that doesn't work. I just wasn't getting it. And then someone in the trading group I belong to, in the Crypto Lifer trading group, pointed out what I was doing wrong, and it was one of those things where it's right in front of your face, like when your wife says, "Hey, can you hand me your phone?" Or "Hand me my phone, it's right there in the counter." And you're like, "Oh, I don't see it." And it's right in front of your eyes. It was like that. It was like that. Thank you, Mike, I appreciate it. And it's amazing when something opens your eyes like that. Even in trading, where there's a million indicators, there's a million inputs, this type of stuff. If you boil it down to a few rules and you practice them, and it works for you, then you follow it. And it's interesting to watch the market move without you. A lot of times, I'm looking at my rules here, and or just ones that I might say, if I have 5 rules for a trade, and one of them I'm not clear on, I'll write not clear on it, and I'll go ask about it. And other people, and you might get 3 different opinions about it, and so you have to test it. You have to try it, see if it works, that type of stuff. Anyway, let's. Why is this not moving? Update Bitcoin here. We have the pricing updates. Your papers, please. It did, went up a little bit. That's good. Let's see about our trade now. Nope. Sorry, back down to $1. It was up $2.50. Now it's just up $1. Let's head to the 1 hour chart here. Those divergences also play out here as well. There's a lot to this chart to understand, of which I rely on other people to do, namely Mr. Pedro, who is not here. I hope the poor boy didn't wreck his new car. Anyway, thank you to everyone who watched us on Rumble. Really appreciate it. Drop a comment. We need to get another 10 of you there, and then I can read one of my special ads that they feed me. Let's see what the campaigns. No campaigns available. Need more viewers. Do us a favor. Share. Hit that share button. Hit that share button, ladies and gentlemen. And that like button makes a big difference in the viewership. Don't care, Windows. Anyway, on this 1 hour chart, one of the things that Pedro always burns into our head is to trade with the trend. And this is where I get confused because Pedro says trade with the trend. So if you look at the daily chart, you're like, the trend is one way, seems to be going up, right? Okay, 4 hour chart seems to be going up, general uptrend. And then the 1 hour chart, we start to have a little issue here. Let me bring it back so I can point to this here. All right, so this is the 4 hour chart for Bitcoin. The red line down here, this blue line, is my divergence line that I drew, which also can act as a guidance line, an indicator. But this red line is my 200 period moving average on the 1 hour chart. This is the 100 hour And so you can see that the red line and the 100-hour, or red line, the 200 period and the 100 period, still in an upward trend since a couple of days ago, or 2 days ago. But the 8 period, this purple one, and then this orange one is the 20 period one, and even the green one, which is the 50 period, have started to come down and change direction and trend downward. So I look at this, I see that the big line's going, yeah, that's trending upward, and because the daily is trending upward, and generally the larger time frames control the lower time frames. I always looked at it in reverse, saying, well, the 1 minute builds to the 5 minute, 5 minute builds to the 15, 15 builds to the hour, blah, 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 which is true. It does. Those things build that way. That's how it works. 61 minutes builds into a 1 hour candle. That's how that works. But overall, as Pedro's been showing me, the trend builds its way from the larger levels down, because there's more money and trading in the larger level. Oh, we're going to do this right now so I can earn 18 cents, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to everybody that's watching and helped me get to this point here today. And it's good practice. Ladies and gentlemen, a quick break here for our first commercial break. If you're looking for a great place online for news, discussion, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news, stories, commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, then get a Truth Social account today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard, join the movement, join Truth Social. And if you haven't followed our network, we're on Truth Social. Our account is DYOR _media. If you search Truth Social for DYOR Media, you'll see posts related to the shows, content, schedules when we're on, and commentary about the markets, what's going on, especially from our sister show, Crypto Swamp Creatures. They talk about what's going on in the Trump administration all the time, and we repost that stuff to Truth Social, obviously because the Truth Social crowd enjoys that. Anyway, thanks to Rumble for this ad. Thanks to Truth Social. Make sure you go out and get an account there, even if it's just to explore what other people are saying, and so you get out of your little silo. If you're someone that spends all their time on Blue Sky, you don't want to be watching this show anyway. But you should have an account somewhere else so you can be a well-rounded individual. Ladies and gentlemen, Truth Social, go get an account today. All right. I gotta love that. I feel like a real YouTuber now and Rumbler. So everyone on Rumble, thank you very much for watching, because the more Rumble people we get, the more ads we get to read. Yeah, I lost 3 people on Rumble while reading that. Anyway, so you guys are fine. Another 20 minutes, I can't read another ad. All right, let's get back to the charts here, what I was talking about. Come on, chart. Change back. There we go. So anyway, I'm going through this learning process with Pedro and with paying attention to the crypto lifer, to crypto lifer, to Sam, and also to a gentleman in his group by the name of Master Friend. And they, as I posted the other day in their forum, I've had to unlearn everything I knew about trading. Even things I learned from the trading pits when I used to work in those. I was never a trader, a member trader, but I did every other job you can think of, including being allowed to trade through one of the traders, stuff like that. And it was always like, I was in my young 20s, so it wasn't any sort of real money. And of course, they weren't allowing me to risk any type of real money, but the idea was to learn how the markets work and all this type of stuff. And nowadays, the markets work much differently. Very much the same in some areas, but very differently in other areas. There's a lot more information available. Information comes a lot faster. The traders used to make huge money front-running people because the information was slower to come out. Just slow. In the late 80s and early 90s, you know, now everybody gets all the information possible on their phone right at the right moment, and that phone is linked to a bot, and the bot trades, boom, market moves. In the old days, the information came out, some guy would be on TV, and blah, 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 and IBM has announced that they've invented something called a computer, and blah, blah, blah. And everyone would get their paper charts out, write notes on it, and look at it and say, how's this going to affect the market, blah, 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 and then they'd go at it. But meanwhile, the smart people would be like, you know, before that information got disseminated to all the branches worldwide and stockbrokers, boom, they're in the market, they're ahead of everybody, they make a few ticks, and then they're out. Perfect. Now it's different. So you have to pay attention to a lot more things, and I'm learning that the hard way. Learning it the hard way. Thank you, Crypto Mike, for the laughing trophies. So anyway, before the ad started, I was talking about I'm getting mixed signals here. And so one of the things I'm trying to learn is how to understand the trend. Because Pedro says don't trade against the trend. So the question is, if the whole week and day and all that are all up, but the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute are down and on their way down, do you trade the bigger trend? Do you trade the little trend? Pedro would say, stay out of the market. Does your model show? Does your model show? And so that distills the answer back down to me. If that's not my trading model, here, just ignore it and let it play out. Let it play out. It's supposed to be a supporting trophies. Yeah, a W is a W, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to say that, Mike, the Chicago Cubs, their flag is a W. Their team flag is a W. But also, we fly the W flag when the Cubs win, and they hoist it up above at Wrigley Field. And the reason why it's a W is not because of the Cubs or Wrigley. It's a longer story. But that's not the point. The point is, when I used to be a season ticket holder, the Cubs, first of all, won the World Series. But they had many seasons of not winning anything at all. And had some ugly wins. Ugly wins. And we'd say that. A W is a W. W is a W. Anyway, the Wrigley family used to own Catalina Island off of Southern California. They used to own it outright. The whole thing. And the Cubs, that used to be their spring training place. And the island, that doesn't anymore, but used to have a train that runs around it. And the train's name began with a W, and the train had a W flag on it. Everyone thought it meant Wrigley, but I can't remember what it meant. I'm sure I could Google it. So when the Cubs would come back, they'd steal the flag. They'd steal the flag off the train. And this was obviously in the early 1900s. Where they have that wine convention. I don't know what goes on Catalina Island now. They do have a big. I got Pedro coming in my ear, guys. Pedro, your mic's off. Go ahead and get ready, and let me know when you're ready. But anyway, Catalina Island does a big resort on it now. It's a big day tripper place for people with boats and stuff like that. But the Wrigley Gum people used to own it outright, and the Cubs used to be there. Anyway, that's my side story for that. Anyway, I'm going to finish up what I was talking about while Pedro's getting ready here. Like I said, on this 1 hour chart, it confuses me, but the point remaining, does it fill my trading model? And the answer is no, I don't have any model to trade this, so I just ignore it and see how it plays out. Pedro's whispering in my ear, for now.
That's the fun part.
All right, Pedro, I've made your mic live now. Oh yes, turn that off.
All right, here we go, my peoples. All right, can y'all see me? Here we go. Let's do this right here. All right, let me mark it in the right way. There we are. Dude, I just got done. I looked at my bill. I got charged something that I should not have been charged. And I was
Don't
like,
subscribe to all those porn things. They'll just keep billing you.
That's funny. And because everybody knows, like, I don't like porn, so I think it's absolutely atrocious for art because it literally kills a man's brain. Literally, that's the truth. It's better that you go out and get shamed.
Wait, no, stay on your original topic. No going sideways on us.
Oh, you're right. All right. ADD's kicking in. Okay, so what was really interesting is I got overcharged some, and I was like, why am I being charged on this? What is this? And so, like, I went through, and so I called up the bank and was like, hey, can you go through and check this out? And she went over like, well, she's like, well, you are on a monthly, you have all these monthly charges, and for pretty much the same price. And I go, huh, start naming them off. And it was literally like 15. It was literally like 15 of them. And I'm getting charged like $30, $29.99, $28.99, 20. And so I went through and I was like, all right, let's real quick and check to see that. And before you know it, bro, I went through and I canceled, like I said, almost like 20 subscriptions, like 15, 20 subscriptions. And then all of a sudden I'm like, she's like, dude, you're literally, I mean, you're gonna have an extra like $400 or $500 a month in your bank account. And I was like,
yeah,
nice. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot of money because you use it, but then you stop using these things. And then before you know it, like, she's like, yeah. She's like, and there's an app that you can pay. That's a subscription that does the same thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't need another subscription. But we're talking almost, dang, bro.
I had a similar problem a while ago, and I was having trouble canceling some of them. They were just, being very obstinate. They're the ones that say, oh, you have to send a letter to a P.O. box in Alaska, by horse mail. And so finally it came to the end of my credit card. It was time my debit card is up for renewal. And I told them, I said, don't send me the same card. Just delete that one and give me new numbers. And they're like, okay, no problem. So they sent me a card, brand new numbers. And I still kept getting the charges. Mm-hmm. And so I disputed them. I'm like, you must have an internal problem billing me, because I got new numbers and all that type of stuff. They're like, oh no, we let the vendors know your new number. Mm-hmm. I was like, what? Why would you do that? That's like an invasion of my privacy. I don't want them to know my number unless I want them to know my number. And this is with the bank, and the bank's like, well, we don't do it, but MasterCard does it.
Yeah, that's exactly what they told me. Yeah.
And I was like, well, how do I stop that? And they're like, you can't. I'm like, well, that's not fair. I want to be able to, I can't cancel something because the group's scamming me. I want a new number. They're like, well, you got to report your card stolen then. And I was like, but wait a minute. They're going to just let them know my new number then.
The new number. So.
And I was just like, you mother. So I said, so I essentially have to close my account and open a new checking account. And they said, yeah, that's what you need to do.
So what I did is I went through, because I'd worked with this company, not work with this company, but I reached out to them and I said, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? She goes, well, we need to put a stop payment internally on our end so they can't charge you. And so if the credit card company charges you, then we refuse payment, saying, no, he actually put a stop here. And so you no longer have a transaction, and then they eat the fee and they don't lose money. So then they tell the business that's charging the fee, hey, the good old Italian, hey, and so she says like, look, and so she was really helpful. She said, all right, look, and so before you know, I got so happy. All of a sudden I looked up and I was like, it's 12:30. Holy crap. And she's like, and she goes, it looks like we kind of got all of them. And then I was like, okay, cool. So I've got a couple of them that I'm thinking about keeping, like one being, the Amazon. We all use Amazon. And then I also use, what was the other one? Just like music. I'm a huge music guy, you know that. Just stuff like that. But
yeah, we got it last night with the stupid Odessa. I'm not going to say her name because she'll say, what can I do for you now? But it rhymes with Odessa. Every time we ask for music, Odessa, play Thievery Corporation. You know, a little dinner music, and she'll say, oh, you know, we'll play only Thievery Corporation music if you subscribe to Amazon Unlimited. Otherwise, we'll play similar songs. And I'm like, no, I don't want to hear similar songs. I want to hear what I asked for. And then she'll say, that's $6.99 a month. And so we said no. And she said, thank you for subscribing. Like,
wow.
You mother... I gave her that. Usually I'm very nice to them because I know the machines are going to come and grind me up in a meat grinder when they come. And Mrs. Striking is like screaming, no, I said fucking no. And so you say unsubscribe, and they're like, you can't. You have to contact Amazon directly for that. And like, you.
And then you got to find the number. You got to go through all the. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know our subscribers here love this. We're almost giving them, majority of them are getting triggered again. No, not that again, no. Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But you know what? During times like this is what I love. So everybody starts to do this. Like during times that gets, oh, what's up, Mikey?
Hello, Space Cat. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy us at the gym.
So we're starting to see so instead of inflation, we're seeing inflammation. Inflation, we're seeing stagflation. And if not, I mean, some areas around the country, we're actually seeing deflation. And basically means prices actually go down instead of actually going stagnant. Because a lot of people are doing what I did. Because I honestly was just shocked that I had gotten. And she goes, so I asked her, I was like, you're really good at this. She goes, oh yeah, we've been actually having a lot of people call up and do exactly what you're doing. And I was like, oh really? She goes, oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What a waste of time. On your part and the bank's part time.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is we all, here, I'm going to take, listen, I hit the little subscribe. I put my credit card in it. It was me. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, it was me. Now, your situation with Falexa, that's a totally different story. She was trying to get you, bro. But
little cunt. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Damn, just got derated. Or super pumped on Rumble. Yeah. Pedro, you missed out. You missed out. Miss out on? We had a whole bunch of Rumble viewers tune in earlier, and I got to read an ad for Truth Social.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Truth Social doesn't pay very much. Old Donnie there, he makes a lot of money at Truth Social. The market cap of that company now, Donnie J. Trump Entertainment or Media Enterprises, is a couple of billions and billions of dollars, whatever it is. And they handed us 16 cents.
That's the reason why they're rich.
Good point there, Pedro. Good point.
And what I'm saying, I mean, look, the rich is because they basically get you to do things for free and they charge a lot of money for it.
Anyway, Pedro, before you came on, I filled the air with talking about learning to trade and how one of my models was hold on, I got to get to the right screen here. We'll go back down to this screen here. This is the just the 1 minute chart. And one of my models is just especially for practicing, is waiting for, here's the 200 period moving average. And then when price action comes above it, I watch and wait for the 8 to come crashing into the 200 period too. And then I'm like, hey, is it going to really work or not? And so I wait for the 21 period moving average. And that's my model I allow myself to trade real money with versus demo money. I've graduated that model out of the demo account into trading real money. And so I was just walking over how I make the decision to do that and how sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I've got about right now, according to my Excel spreadsheet, I've got about a 65% win ratio on that model.
Damn. Sorry. That's good. That's really good.
It works okay, but I don't.
Now you got to refine the entry. It's all about you refining your entry now. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm trying to watch. Why am I getting high CPU average? Let me turn this off here. hold on, I just got to make sure everything's going right here. But anyway, the entry period, I'm trying to refine, pay attention. Before I used to FOMO in, right? As soon as it crossed the 200 period moving average, I'd be like, it's on, I'm in. And then of course it would retrace right below it because there's no confirmation of it that it was going to be anything, or, you know, on another time frame, another moving average would be guiding it, so it would be different.
Yeah.
And so now I pay attention to those. You know? And so then I said, I'll just make sure everything's fine by ensuring the 8 period. You don't have to wait that long on an 1 minute chart for the 8 period to show results. And then I had better luck. And then once the 21 period crossed the moving average, it started to work better. And then once it started getting up, this one didn't do it. Didn't cross price. Usually the 21 would cross the price action. And then I would get mixed results because it would cross it and then price might come down. But this one worked out just perfectly, where the uptrend started following the 8 and the 21, right? Is that what you would see there? And so that one, I was just trying to explain that in my little learning experience.
Why is that one working?
In my mind, that one's working because it didn't violate those trends or those moving averages. It stayed.
So also, but why did I'm gonna give you little things to work on, and this is where you have to back test. Remember, guys, I always talk about environment is everything, right? Like when we talk, I'm gonna jump to the daily here real quick. And one of the things you should be asking is, Pedro, you said that the market was gonna come up into this area here. And then it did, and it sold off on BTC here on the Crow chart. And why did that happen? And this was, a couple weeks or last week. We talked about it coming up here, and we were looking to capture it as price was coming down. And so I said, expected to come and hit this and sell off. And I said, we have two options, right? So it's important to understand kind of the environment in which the trade is taking place in. And if you can understand that larger time frame, whatever larger time frame you use to govern you, whether that is a daily, whether that is a 4 hour, 2 hour, whatever it is, or whether it is a 3 hour or a 7.8 or 7.5 minute chart, because that's what you trade as your big time frame. You need to understand how your larger time frames correlate with your entry time frames. And then you want to, because remember, execution is 99% of trading.
Right.
Okay? And understanding the execution is more important than the actual, like the larger narrative. But you need to understand how your larger narrative is fitting in with your entry time frames. So like your entry time frames are 5 minute, and then what was the other one? 1 minute? The chart periods I'm watching, the 1 minute and the 5 minute. Yeah,
chart?
So that's what you use to get in on the trade, right? But you're utilizing higher time frames to kind of give you what's actually happening in the market, so you can capitalize on a larger movement, correct?
Yes, but not that much of a larger movement. This model pretty much isn't, for me at this point, isn't setting off a huge move. It's setting off it's setting off so I'm not looking at 7 hours from now. I'm looking at for that one I'm looking at 15 minutes to an hour. See what it's doing.
Okay. So then what you want to do is you want to sit there and say, all right, let me look at my hour chart here and go, all right, do I have any resistance and do I have any support coming in? So if I'm looking to short the market and I have support coming below me, well, that's going to mess up my trade, right? Because I want to short this and it coming in, you're coming to an area where there's going to be buyers stepping in. And so you want to make sure that you have a clear run and find out what's actually happening. If you don't have a clear run down to that area, then you're kind of finding, like, for example, I'm not going to try to go long here because I have literally the 8, which is trending. But on my 5 minute, it says, hey, you can go up. It's cool. Like once you get above here, you should be good. But I'm hitting the 8 period on my hour chart. So that's why I was,
right.
Remember yesterday we were talking about, I said, look, trade off of that 8 minute. Once it starts to trend off of that 8, like here, you would want to trade it down because we were going down because we were hitting a daily, monthly, and yearly high right here. Okay, and there's a lot of sellers sitting there. And so us hitting that yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, I know that we're going to go down. People are positioning either to go long. And so, like I always say, the banks don't top off, right? Like Michael Saylor keeps being liquidity for topping off. Oh, what's up? Fire chicken.
Fire chicken in the house. I played his music, but I didn't pipe it into your ear.
Oh, I got you.
Thank you, Chuck, for joining us on Rumble. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Absolutely, man. You rock. So because we're hitting those higher time frames, and this is really important to understand, my environment that I look at the market tends to want to short. And so I want to get in on trades that allow me almost as a pullback into an area where there are going to be sellers on smaller time frames. And then all I'm doing is lining up lines on multiple time frames that I use. Uh-oh, can you guys hear us? I just lost you guys.
Yeah, Pedro, you just faded there.
Yeah.
Your screen capture did that fade thing again. Does once every 2 weeks or so, and your camera dropped.
Everything's cool. I don't know why it's doing that. Hello?
Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name?
Your name. All right, there we go. I don't understand why it did that. On my end, I had full everything. Those little gremlins must have got back into my phone here. Wrong picture was trying. Alrighty, well, I don't understand why that is, but hey, sometimes it does that. Okay, so because I'm using the higher time frames to dictate, I'm looking for a pullback to a 200 period moving average instead of trying to go long. Right. I want to play the actual market here, and so that's where I am. That's what I'm using, right? And that's important to understand.
What time period do you have up there?
This right here was.
Oh, you're looking at the daily chart.
This is the daily chart, because again, my daily chart is telling me what the market wants to do for the day. So, because I know we're coming down to test that 8 and 20 that we talked about, and potentially these liquidity areas, right? I talked about these weeks. These are areas that I want us to play and make money off of, right? These are these areas, right? Like last week, we had this one, right? Which was basically we were risking $500 or 400 points, right? 400 or 500 points. And our goal was to go from here, and we wanted to get out on the 8. Right? Because this was where the liquidity was sitting. So we knew that, boom, we hit that 50 period plus the liquidity, which I said, all right, guys, we're looking for a 1-to-1 ratio. So once you hit 1,000, get out on get out at 60-70% of your trade, and then let it run and see what happens. And I said, we should see either some resistance come in at that 106 area, or excuse me, it was the 104, 106. And if it pushes through that, then we would expect it to go up here. I thought we were going to come up, hit that 8 because we were trending. And I thought we were going to come back down and go even lower. But we didn't. So we went up. So like I said, you need to be able to hold 2 narratives in your mind, or 2 to 3 narratives in your mind, what the market can do. By holding multiple narratives, you don't get married to a position. Right. And then you sit there and can trade this accurately. It's almost like when somebody who's on the far left and far right, like hold on to the position and can't see the middle view. Right? It's like
That's like my golf game. I'm way off on the left, I'm way off on the right, and I just can't see that moderate, great center view at all. Hey Tom, what's it feel like to be an extremist? I'm not an extremist. I vote moderate. No, not politics. In golf. Oh God, I'm extreme right, extreme right, extreme left, extreme left.
Well, people typically trade perfect example of that. Like they want either they're bear or they're bullish, and it's like that's not how the game is played. The game is played by being smart in your pursuit of it and seeing, understanding that there are other views. The market can go up and down and up. The market can go up, then down, then up. The market can go down, then up, then down. Right. And so, because I always talk about, they're always looking for liquidity. And so this is where these head and shoulders, this is where you have a hedge breakout or a wedge breakout, because this is what is actually happening. They're looking for liquidity. And so that's why I don't typically use those type of head and shoulders and stuff like that, because it can act as a way for the institutions to get liquidity from you.
Because they see that too.
And they go, and they're the ones creating it purposely to take your money. All
right, and obviously I've take your advice. I put the 5-minute chart back on here. And what I wanted to let you know is that the 1-minute chart caused me to get in that. And I looked at the higher time frames and saw that 8-period thing. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep this one nice and small, and put my stop order in, or my closeout order in right before the 200-period moving average on the 5, and just make this. Why is my hand not working? Oh, it's getting cut off. Make this little bit here. And that's exactly what happened. The market came up, and in fact, I didn't even realize my stop order had been hit, because I'm looking at the trade. I'm like, why don't I have a trade on? And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, I have that my stop order executed, and I pulled in $5 whole, Pedro.
Nice.
A winning trade, nonetheless.
A win is a win, dog.
A win is a win, and my model worked, or not my model, but the model worked.
Model that you're developing work. I always say, look, a win is a win. Don't ever mock a win. Don't ever sit there and say, no, just celebrate that win.
Right. Victory. I beat them. I beat the banks. I beat the big institutions. I took $5 out of their pockets, put it in mine. And just like when Chuck donates to us. Take his money, put it in our pockets.
Thank you. Boom. I love it.
Let's do a quick social media shout out there, everybody. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We've got a total of 18 people watching us. Unfortunately, we still have a little bit more time left before we can read a new ad. And hopefully they will give us an ad that has to read that only needs 20 people. I'm just starting to enjoy those, Pedro. I'm getting good at it. I positioned it better. I speak slower and with more authority.
There you go. And who knows, man, it may kick off and start to really get going and people start watching us. By the way, I'm also want to appreciate every one of you guys that have been hitting the hearts button, the like buttons over on all our platforms. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it immensely. In addition to that, if you guys are watching us over on Rumble, please log in, create a profile. You don't need to sign up for the pro profile for
premium
Rumble or for premium.
You don't need to pay for premium.
Thank you. Yeah, and just come in and interact with us, right? And if you want to say you don't know how to trade, you're clueless, please say I have long hair and I'm a hippie. It's all good. You say you're old, gray, got a big old nose. It's okay.
You know who's getting long hair is me, and it's getting a little gray. My hair is moving from the front to the back. It's shifting. It's doing the whoop. But now, you know what's happened is my hair's so long now that it weighs down the top of my head. I used to have this beautiful little swoop on the top, a little George Clooney swoop type thing.
Yeah.
And now with the weight of the long hair, it just goes boom, flat, and I'm like, it looks awful. So Mrs. Striking's like, it's time for you to get a haircut. And last time I saw it, Striking she said, Dad, you need to get a haircut. And I've never had my hair this long, except when I was like 2, and I had the long white hair, like You can't believe it. I wish I still had that hair. I'd be like, woo! I'd be a porn star. But anyway, I'm getting a little crabby. I think I've had too much caffeine today.
I love it.
And so I've just been going with it. I've been going with it, and it doesn't, it doesn't really get in the way of the show here because generally there's a black background. You don't see my crazy hair, or perhaps how oily it is.
I like it.
Why does long hair get so gosh darn oily?
I think it's because we have this thing called sebum that we emit on a daily basis.
But when I have short hair, it's still there. Comes out of the follicles. I don't know. Anyway, my trade, I stopped it out, but it's designed to break out through the 5-minute 200 period moving average. So we're going to watch, see if the same model develops, see if the 8 period moves up there with it, and the 21 period. But that's going to take 21 5 minutes, so it'll likely be after the show is over or something like that. Anyway,
right now, I mean, you're in. It's showing some strength here. We're bouncing off of that 8 and 20 on the daily down in this level here. So, like you can see here that it potentially is. We're starting to see kind of push back up. We can see that like if you look at the higher time frames, right? On that 4 hour, we kind of pushed up, and we're coming to test that 20 period moving or the 8 period moving average right here. You can see on the 2 hour, we're kind of playing here. So I'm looking here. Actually, you have more resistance on top than down. So I would almost look to short this. So I look at this even more. Boom. But you could play it. You could play up to like that 108.33 area here. But it's, you would have to really have a tight stop, a really tight stop. You can see they're putting in some buyers here. Before they bring it back down. That 5 minute, you're trending up here on that 8. So I mean, yeah, you could. Just understand that there's a lot of higher time frame resistance up at these levels here.
Working against you.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. We're on Thursday. They might be pushing it up. For the week, we already put in the demand wick, which was down here, and then we pushed up. We came down. Looks like they're kind of taking profit for that week. We came up, hit the seller areas. They came back down. And yeah, this is what we're seeing right here. Boom. You can see on Sunday we pushed up, hit supply, coming down. So we might end up kind of right here, kind of play off of this 106 to 110 area. I mean, we could play around here. You see that they're taking profit here as well. So, but it also could be a smaller leg down to come up and go back up here and play, right? Because again, there's now shorts sitting right here at this level.
Don't take my shorts.
Yeah, so you can see here you've got shorts here or sellers here. You've also got shorts here and sellers here. So you could play both. Right here, late in the week, we kind of just be playing here. So we'll find out as it correlates, but it's really just kind of doing this right here. And then it might finish off. If we finish off the week with a strong candle that looks like this, but you see it on the weekly chart, kind of like you see it here, and it ends here, then that's a good sign that we're going to continue up for next week. And then that would be the 3rd week of the month, hence causing us to continue up. And so you can see on that monthly chart, we put in the demand wick here, which is pretty good. We have a decent demand wick as we came down. And then so for the next week, this is the monthly chart. So that weekly chart, you would want to expect it to come down and then to continue up. And it's what I'm expecting it. So probably next week we'll see us get above that 112 area as a peak.
Ooh,
fingers crossed.
Pushing all-time highs. Means we're gonna have clickbait for YouTube shows. But this leads me to another discussion in my evolution of learning this stuff. And I'm starting to understand the short time frames and seeing the market develop in real time. I'm starting to understand that, and how the moving average is this, okay, it's likely going to do that, blah, blah, blah. I reinforce that in a very short period of time because that's what I can understand right now because that's what I've been practicing. What I'm not I shouldn't say any good at because I'm not practicing it, but what I haven't gotten to the point of understanding is being able to look out over the long time frames. Like when you say, you're looking at the weekly chart or the daily chart, and you're like looking for this zone. I mean, you've taught me to look for liquidity points here and there, where certain candles show certain things, and I get that. But that's, telling me where liquidity is, and so if the market goes down, that could be an area it goes down to. But I'm still, and I'm not looking for an answer now. I'm just saying that's an area that's coming up on my learning curve.
That comes next. That's your next.
Right, and looking out so I can look at the bigger trends, and thus trade the longer trends. And instead of, being a panic boy, as I called it, looking at the 1 minute and 5 minute chart. I can make trades on that all day, but you'll go crazy, and you'll get wrecked over trading too. And I would much rather, learn the long game and say, all right, this month we're going to do that. Make one trade and, retire rich at the end of the month. Okay, I simplified that a little bit, but,
Yeah.
But, you understand my point. Is that's the net, that's I shouldn't say that's next. That's part of the evolution. Right.
I've seen how the smaller times and the bigger time frames interact, much like a spoke, right? Like you need the smaller time frames. If you have a bigger spoke, right, and it's interacting with a smaller, gear. You have a smaller gear and a larger gear, and even though the larger gear moves slower, the smaller gear moves a lot faster. But
right.
That bigger gear holds a lot more power, right? Even though it moves slower.
Right.
And so that's how they work. It's literally, you can understand it like that, where it's like, and then as that bigger one turns,
that's a good point. That's a good way to think about it there, Pedro.
Mm-hmm. And this is why you see me always looking at those higher time frames of that monthly, weekly, like at the quarter, right? I look at my quarter, the 3 month. I literally had somebody who was like, dude, 3 months do not matter. And I'm like, okay. Like what, I can't.
3 months don't matter.
Like they say that the 3 month chart doesn't matter on a daily chart. I go, until it does.
Oh, I thought you meant they trade so long term that they don't even, the lowest time is they look at. I just look at yearly charts. They don't.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Their trade was so long.
No, I mean people who are like day traders and weekly trader, or not day traders who use intra time frame. I go, if you know that we're coming down into a liquidity area on a quarterly chart, and all of a sudden, like you're here, let me just see something, like right here, from Bitcoin from this month when it came below. Not this month, but this quarter when we came below that 74 area. But if you look at the actual area here, this area right for a quarterly change is literally 2,000 points. Okay, so you have 2,000 points to make 30,000 points. Right, that's the peak up here. Okay, so you're gonna risk 2,000 to make 30. That's a 15x, right? And so you can sit there and go, okay, I want to get a 30x here.
I'll take 30x every day or every month.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is a 3 month chart, right? And so understanding, like, I can then drop down to my monthly chart and go, okay, look, this is this and this. All right, boom. We're playing here, so let me go to my weekly chart. All right, boom. I see here what's going on. If we get below here, I know that there is some good, I can trade this area right here. Once we come down to here, we'll see. And then you can see here, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I've got the 400 period moving average sitting right there. So I can sit there and say, when we come down here on my daily, okay, my risk is if I start to see a big wick area with a good amount of volume. See that? Good amount of volume coming in.
Yeah.
Comparative to the other periods, right? And you can see here, you got a good wick. Or you're like, you know what? Let me take this day trade to capture a full month, 2 month, 3 month trade. Because you know you have that 400 period. Now, I thought we were going to come down lower, right? Which was going to be down here. But this is why I said we might see support coming in on that 400 period. Because when you look at and again, this is why you always see me do these higher time frames, because this is when all of a sudden you can capitalize on large moves. And again, and Tom Bailu brings this up, and I think it's so important. We are all chemicals. Like, our emotions are based off of chemicals in our brain. We are having a biological experience right now called life.
Right.
And because of that, it gets in the way of being able just to sit there and run through a higher time frame, because you want that dopamine now, and your brain goes, give it to me. And again, that's a chemical experience. That is a biological experience. And simply just understanding that, stepping back as a trader and going, okay, I want that dopamine now, but let's pull back a little and look at this. Just like when your kids are freaking out, and anybody who's a parent, right, understands that when you have a kid who's freaking out and they're like, I want this candy right now, you got to sit there and be like, look around, see the other parents looking at you, judgment eyes, and go, come here, what's going on? You know, and
look,
you know, they're having a, or just say, come here, I love you, it's okay. And they're like, no, I want this. They're like, I know. When it's time, I'll get it for you. I want it now. Okay, great. And I'm saying that because that's like our brain wanting that dopamine.
Yeah, so they go, oh, you got a job? Oh, you can get it now. Oh, you don't have a job? Tough noogies, kid.
But more importantly, the idea of giving yourself grace with understanding that, looking back, if you can pull back and then correlate, like I said, with a smaller gear and a larger gear. And as you see they're turning, you can take advantage of larger trades. And this correlates with a 5-minute, a 30-minute, an hour, a 3-hour, whatever time frames. And then you can correlate the same idea with whatever trending mechanisms that you use. So whatever indicator you're using, you can put it on multiple time frames. And that's the difference of larger gears and smaller gears working together. And as you correlate them, then you can sit there and, as I say, I just line up lines. Right? Like,
it's just lines.
I'm just lining up lines to see a confluence of all of these time frames when I have one smaller gear, one medium-sized gear, and one larger gear, all turning at the same time, meeting together. And that's what I'm doing, right? Just like when you look at those cool little watches that they used to have back in the day, right? You would have 5 or 6 ones turning, and that small one would be like this. You see them turning.
Right, exactly.
But as it's turning a bunch, it's moving the medium-sized one and then the smaller. And so understanding that's how trading works. And then understanding that each time frame has its own liquidity. And once you understand each time frame this is why I say expect a big move, right? Because you're all of a sudden catching the 3 month, the 1 month, the weekly, and the daily. And then we sit there and we see the 5-minute. This is when you start to have all this. When I
starting to confuse me, Pedro.
Okay, I'm trying. How do I make this? Okay, long story short, gears, they move,
right.
And the smaller gears, smaller time frames move faster, but not as powerful. Bigger gears, a lot more power, but they move slower. So when you can bring those all together at one point in time, then you will have big moves, and you can take larger runs.
I got it. I got that.
God, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get complicated. I just
it just went on 10 minutes too long. You're
sorry,
the summary one you just did was perfect. In fact, you gave the summary first, and then you went into a long, detailed description in which
You're like, dude, bro, come on.
And I'm trying to figure out. We had over 20 viewers there for a minute, but they didn't give us a new ad to read. I don't understand.
Maybe they're expecting more from us now. They're like, all right, y'all hitting that 20. Now you got to start doing 30, bro.
No, but they would usually in the admin panel for that, they show you the ones that need 100 viewers, 5,000 viewers and stuff like that. They stopped showing us the 5,000 ones. But they show you need 20 viewers, 33 viewers, that type of stuff. And now they're just showing me Doodly Squad. Just that we made 18 cents from Truth Social. Thank you, Donald Trump, for that 18 cents.
You know what? If you guys could do us a quick favor, I just gave you guys, I hope you go back and look at that last explanation of what I just said, because that I'm literally giving you 15 years of heartache and grinding. I literally just gave you a gold nugget. Like, I'm not joking. Like a literally gold nugget. I just gave it to you guys.
Give me some nuggets.
Like, it's just, people don't even know. You guys don't even know.
Well, that's the point that we have, and the issue we have with all that information in your head, Pedro. Because the learning experience is like a road track, a car road track that they're racing. It's up and down and it's around. There's a lot of stuff going on that you got to learn. And even though some are high and some are low and the left and right, you still have to follow that path to learn it and learn everything in between. And you have the benefit of ages. I mean, decades of experience. You're so old. I mean, experienced in trading that these nuggets come out, and people like me who are juniors and novice in it, we get it that it's gold, but we have no idea. It's like telling somebody saying, this is how you operate the space station arm. I'm giving you, it takes years to know this. And I'm like, I got to become an astronaut first. How the fuck do I do that? Now I know I can operate that space station arm. Yes, I can. Woo! Oh, but you got to become an astronaut first. I'm like, well,
well, the thing is what I'm saying is, yes, I'm giving you ways to become an astronaut. And instead of trying to do blindly, where most people in trading have to do this blindly, or you got to pay a lot of money for this. Like, it was funny. I heard Tom Bailu, because I actually connected with Drew. I've also heard those guys on Bankless, because I was on there saying the market's dropping, like during the merge. I said, guys, this is not going to continue, it's going to drop. And I blew up their comment section. And then the next day they said, nobody gives real advice on to trade the market for free on YouTube. There are no real traders on YouTube. And I said, he's right. There are no real ones, that do it for free. And so I realized that, and I said, I'm fighting an uphill battle trying to figure out.
Well, this won't be free once we get a whole bunch of viewers. But Pedro, I popped my screen back on, and I just want to let you know that the market took my advice. Oh, wait, what period do I have up here? Hold on a sec. I still have the 1 minute. Sorry, it's the wrong one. I got to switch over to the 5 minute. It printed a couple above that 5 minute thing, and so I took the trade. While we were talking, I used a whole $10 of margin.
Nice.
$10. Mm-hmm. Now up $4.
There we go, baby.
Yeah, I obviously used leverage on that, but and the total trade is just only where was it?
Yeah.
Total trades the position of $2,600, but I'm up $7. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm just not reading that right.
Just remember now, there's a lot of resistance lines. There's a lot of lines sitting right here, so just be mindful of that, so that you don't get caught off guard if we have a big sell-off. Go through, make sure that you're moving up your stop loss and whatever rules you use to move up your stop loss, just to guarantee money. Make sure you're doing that, being smart. But yeah, and also you need to create rules for trending markets, so you know when to get in, when to get out, understanding this is my target. I'm taking 70% here, boom, and the rest I'm letting run, and we'll see what happens, right?
Well, now it's looking like on the 15 minute chart, it's the next. I looked on the 5 minute chart. There's got no other moving averages to bend off of. On the 15 minute chart, it's poking through the 100 period moving average. So we'll see if it can close above that. And then on the 1 hour, I'm walking. I know you know all these things, but I'm walking through this. On the 1 hour,
yes.
it is approaching. It's also approaching the 100 period moving average. So that will be a strong line since it's essentially in the same spot on two periods. Let's see, in the 4 hour, nothing really going on in the 4 hour. It's way away from everything. So it looks like, you know what, I bet you if I look at like the 10-minute chart, it'll probably give me some good information.
And it's important, I would encourage you to make sure you're doing, like, write out your process, so you're doing the same thing over and over the same way. When you start to, like, I didn't look at my 10-minute, right? I look at, like, and you guys see, I look at literally, if I have a day trade, I cycle through every time frame until I get to 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. I make sure I do the same thing over and over so that I can quantify my actions and take something that is arbitrary and make it finite.
Right.
Right. Everything that we're doing here is arbitrary. This is why people have such a hard time with trading, because they don't follow the same thing over and over and over and over meticulously. Somebody who's really good in business, they have a recipe. They create literally models, right? And then they sell that and call it a franchise. And they say, these are the rules from point A to point Z.
Right.
If you follow these, we know you have a 90% success rate, i.e. McDonald's.
Right. We have a lot of data to back this up, that this works.
Yeah. And did I just disappear again?
You did. You did. Yes, it'll come. Usually, whenever it's doing that, it seems to come back.
Okay, perfect. So these areas here are good things for you to follow. Do the same thing over and over. Write down saying, I go from here and I check this time frame, and then I go here, I check and these are the metrics, and do not detour from that until you've done that maybe 15, 20 times, right, in your trading. And you can sit there and go, okay, I'm now going to change this metric. And by you going through and do that, then you can systematically see what affects that. If you're all willy-nilly, you don't know what's going on in the trade, right? Because you're switching time frames and you're not following the same path every single time. So your brain can't create the correct dopamine hits that you need. So doing the same thing over and over. And listen, this is all stuff that I follow this every single day. I get up in the morning. I literally get up in the morning. I spend time with Jesus. I read, I worship. I then get up after that. I do my pull-ups. I do my bar dips. I follow the same thing every single day. I get my tea. I sit in front of them. I throw on my red light therapy while I'm looking at the market. Boom. From there, because I want the same chemical cocktail in my brain to be the same way every single day. And then from there, I then do and I follow a succinct pattern of trading. I go and I say, what are going to be the news? Now, I already know what the news are going to be, but I'm still going to go look, because you know what? Sometimes Trump speaks and that pops up and that's not scheduled.
I know. And then, like this morning, he just popped off about tariffs and then sent the NASDAQ. Boo!
Yeah. So those little things you need to understand. I have Truth Social up on my trading. You see, this is my cryptocurrency. I have one that says trading. I make sure that follows. I follow this. You know, I look at the news, and then after that, I go through the charts. I start at the day. I don't look at my 5. I go directly to the daily chart in correlation with the weekly chart. I have them together, and I say, okay, if we put the demand wick in on my weekly chart, we're now moving up. okay? It's green for the week. It may be red for the day, but it's green for the week. It's at the end of the week, they may be taking profit here.
Right.
So then from there, I go for my daily and I go to my intra time frames. The way that I look at my moving averages and my indicators are all the same way. And I have them written out how I look at it. What metrics am I looking at? Right? What time frame am I looking at that is moving in a direction that I want it to? Then I look at my supports, my resistance, lining up lines, and I go from the weekly, daily, and I have it systematically written out. Keyword, if you're not writing your trades out, if you're not writing out your process, you are literally only learning 300% less than what you should. My man right there. I love it. And this is going to our people who watch us. This goes to the people who are watching this, because I want you guys to get good. Or I want you to, like, you can take the same type of processing that I'm giving you, and you can take it to anything. Business. You can take it to sports. This is everywhere you want to succeed. I'm giving you literally a blueprint for success. Right? And then you just excel. Look at you. Boop. See? Now, I would not have taken this trade, because to me, like, it's just not worth it, because I would have been looking more at the hour, 2 hour, 4 hour. And I'm like, we'll see.
Well, you also trade on a platform. It doesn't make sense to make a 5-minute trade. It's a cost differential too. You trade contracts. I trade pennies.
Okay. I actually want to mess with it, because all our people are going to be using it. So I need to get good at that. And I actually feel like I'm being disingenuous, because I really don't have all that like rant set up and moved in the correct way. So I'm going to be getting it. So I understand your guys' struggle. So I can say, all right, this is how
Pedro identifies with you. He understands your struggle.
Well, I've been there. I remember before all this stuff wasn't even here. It was so hard. Like I remember when internet trading started coming about. I remember working for a company. Now it's long gone. But anyways, long story short, the struggle to learn how to trade was real. And now there's so many people who've done it and that are good. And you guys have access to those, and plus if I can be an assistance to help you guys out, I wanted to. But the key point is please do me a huge favor, because I'm giving you guys some deep knowledge here. Please hit the little like button, hit the subscribe button, and then we'll have to say, share it. Click on that link that you shared, and it does wonders for us immensely. So if you like what I'm giving you guys and you appreciate it, do your boy a solid, help out the Mexican, and I'll help you guys out. Help me. I actually can't even say that because of the LA riots now.
Man,
oh shoot! Next
thing you know, you're gonna talk about abortion and religion and COVID.
Dude, why did you say all of? Now we just got demonetized on YouTube. Great.
Anyway, Pedro, I got the results from my trade up. I was using Mexi here, and I got a 77% return on that one little trade there. Pulled in $9 whole.
Hey, bud. Compound interest takes care of itself.
It totally does. Totally does, and it's a good win. I closed it out because I've been watching it long enough, and it was a nice win, and I'll take it. And if I'm looking now, I'm looking at the moving averages, and it's likely gonna keep going up if I just look at those. But that's not how the market works. Trump could tweet it any minute, and so that meant my success rate at 77% on a trade is always just fine. Obviously, 300 and 400% is great over a long period of time. But over the period in which I'm talking to Pedro, I'll take 77%.
Yeah, and the key is I always say leave a little to run. I mean, because you don't know potentially what we could see, right? That's my biggest thing, is leave a little to run. Leave a moon bag. If that thing runs and just skyrockets in flight, afternoon. You know, you can take your loved one out on a nice little cruise for the weekend and listen to oldies and let the wind blow through your hair.
Well, the good news
Amen.
is that I do, right over here, there's a river, the Ottawa River, in which you can take a cruise. There's a little tiki boat that's one of those
Nice.
little pedal-powered boats, but in parts of the river there's a current, so it has a little backup motor too. And the people go out and they all face each other and drink beers and pedal around the river. The problem is that the river is not a navigable river, but where the locks are, it's navigable. But on these little things, you don't take the locks. You just kind of go out in a circle and go around and around and around, and you come back. The river's just deep enough for the rowing, guys. It's just barely.
That's funny. That's actually really, really funny. My question is in relationship to that. If I always think about like that huge what was it? It was a really it was a fight between a bunch of like African Americans and Caucasian individuals. And I think it was like, every time I think of something like that, I think about that huge thing that happened of, remember those, the Caucasian individuals were really drunk and they kind of, you know what I'm talking about? This was during COVID.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And so it was a big racial thing, and the far left and far right just took it, and made it dumb. But ultimately, like every time I think about now a riverboat, I always think about that. Like it's like the first.
Yeah,
thing
it was just
that
drunk
pops in my
people getting
head.
off a boat being stupid,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
everyone
that's
got all
really what it
crazy,
was.
and next thing you know, national news is reporting about it like it's some horrible thing. And it's just, the guy was so drunk he couldn't even stand on the docks. He fell right in the water. He's like, "I'm coming to get you." Blah!
and it wasn't even just, it was, I think it was, I want to get off of it because I was just saying stuff that popped in my head. But jumping back to what we were saying earlier about trading, understanding which way you feel like you need to learn which way the market needs to go. And again, each person, like I could be short, you can be long, and we both can make money. And I'm literally quoting my coach. Everything that I'm saying here is literally given to you by my coach, and I'm just parroting to it. But I also know it to be true. So Tom could be short, or I could be short, he could be long, and it go down first, hits my target, and then Tom, all that, it was just a pullback for him to keep continuing higher. So
All right, Pedro, I've moved this over to the center screen again here because why?
Yes.
It's time to talk about 1775 coffee again, Pedro. You're not going to believe this, but 1775 coffee is truly special. And if you still have not tried 1775 coffee, now's your shot. This 1775 starter kit just dropped. Can you believe it? I can't believe it, Pedro.
Really?
Just dropped. Only 1,000 units. 1,000 units of this starter kit. Not only are you getting the bold, dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. No. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. No. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. I love that line. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch." I think that was supposed to be a B. Woke sea bee yacht. But I think for the narrative, it's sea witch. Anyway, and a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch." $175 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones that have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. Ladies and gentlemen, 1775coffee.com/studio. Go there and join it. For our viewers, this little QR code right here, click it. Just click it. It's not going to buy anything, but click it and show the algorithm that our viewers are engaged.
And it's also in the comment section. So if you guys go and you hit the little button on the right hand side, it'll give you the comment section. And then you just click on the upper part of it and it actually pulls right up. I'll actually show it here real quick.
And I'll give it just a second for those of you to do that and let you know that today, Pedro, usually I drink tea here on the show, but I had to go do some errands earlier, print some stuff for Mrs. Striking. It's one of those things that when you absolutely have to print something, your home printer doesn't work. Yeah. It's just guaranteed. You know, I just want to print in black and white. Need magenta. No, black and white. Magenta. So I had to go out to another place to get it printed. And on the way back, I got some coffee. And I really wish this particular coffee, which I poured in from the disposable cup, I really wish it was decent coffee because this was crappy coffee. And what I need to do is get some of that 1775 coffee and try it out, and then try it here live. So 1770, guys, thanks a lot for the advertising. Really appreciate it. I hope to have some of your coffee soon to try it out, because the stuff I've got going on in the system right now, not working. So thank you very much, everybody. Click that QR code.
So if you guys see right here, I have it. If you're sharing my, go ahead and share my.
Coming back.
Here real quick. Yeah, it's going to be us, guys. You're going to see basically us here. But I want to point this out here. This is the area in the live chat. You can see here where the live chat is sitting. Is it showing? Is it sharing? Nope, it's not yet.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So you can see up here, this is where I'm pointing out. And so you just click it here, boom, populates, and boom. If you want to buy it, there you go. You got it. Either way, appreciate you guys immensely for.
You know what, Pedro? While you're at it, click that and scroll through the 1775 website there.
Okay. Here we go.
Maha. Yeah. Ooh, they got a whole bunch of stuff there.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good stuff here, so you guys can play. And
small batch, artisan roasted, because greatness isn't mass produced.
There you go. And these are the guys here.
There's my man, Steve Crowder. All these guys have Rumble crowds like you can't believe. Oh, that's Don Jr. there. But Steve on the end there, I just love listening to his show. He's always very practical. And every claim he makes, Pedro, even the outlandish ones, you're like, no way that can be true. He puts the sources in his body of his thing, just like the swamp creatures do. And sure enough, and it's not some super crazy website where they just make stuff up. It's an actual news article. It's an actual survey or study or whatever. I like how and he's very good also at what we do, but with a much larger budget, at the entertainment part.
There you go.
He puts some skits in the middle of the serious talks that are just hilarious. I mean, because he's a comedian by trade, and so or by industry or whatever, however you want to say it.
By working out and working it. Because honestly, comedians is just simply, again, somebody who wrote down their stuff.
Right.
And then they got really good at that timing thing. And then from timing, then they wrote down again the reactions and said, people, and then they did it. And they did the same thing over and over. They wrote out to refine it, to make it better. And then they became funny. It's literally how comedians work. I'm actually trying to go do open mic nights. I'm actually trying to do comedy.
I'd love to do it too. I would love to do comedy night.
Big time, like ginormous. Like that's what she said.
Natasha and I had a place near the apartment in Chicago. Had a place that it was like a VR virtual reality bar where they had virtual reality games, but they had this massive back room and they'd rent it out, and a group would rent it out every week to do open mic improv nights, and they'd rent it. They just come bring a couple of comedians that were practicing, and the bar would let them use it, and because they bring people in and drink beer. And I went to it a couple of times, and I'm like, I could do this. I've got some content. And it wasn't all just funny, like hilarious stuff. It was like a lot of the Dave Chappelle stories. And that's what I like. I like those stories that kind of come around at the end and it hits you and hit you. I gotcha, bitches. And I like that style. And I was working my way up to doing it. And Mrs. Striking is like, really? You're going to do that? I'm like, yeah. I'd really like to try. I mean, I have a lot of practice talking to total strangers here, right?
Yeah, literally.
And can go on camera. You know, when I first started this, I'm like, oh my God, the light's on the camera. What do I do? Sweating, like, psh.
Yeah.
Now I talk about, gotcha, bitches. And so I said I'd be good at it. Then the place went out of business, and that was that. My dreams are over.
Well, you know what? There's always open mic nights at many bars, so you can step up and be like, "Hey, so I don't got a guitar, but I got lips. Hey,
boom,
right? But I got bars, baby. I'm at a bar and I got bars, baby. No, that doesn't work. All right, I can't use that one. But ultimately, I think what's interesting is watching the market play. Now, let's actually check out a couple news sources here. Have you at all gone over news at all?
I started with a couple on the show open, but I went into talking about it. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was our let me bring my screen back up here. Facebook wants to get back in the business of having its own currency. And before they were talking about when they got absolutely beat up by the U.S. government, and because really under Joe Biden. In fact, I think they started really under Trump's first thing, but Trump didn't control the Senate back then. And Elizabeth Warren was a big deal, and they just put the brakes on all that stuff. Mark Zuckerberg actually sat in front of Congress and said, we're not going to do any of that. Just forget it. We don't want any of this pressure from the government. The government's like, yeah. Now that everybody else is in the stablecoin business, Meta and Facebook said, hey, we're in on it. Without fail, immediately Elizabeth Warren is out there going, no, and demanding information from Zuckerberg, sending letters, demanding answers over stablecoin plans, and saying Facebook could conquer the world if they have a stablecoin. Now,
she's right though.
But they have one marketplace. Okay, so what? Big deal. If they make it the payment vehicle on that, that'll just make it harder for people. I mean, if they can, but on the other hand, if they can onboard 3.5 billion people into stablecoins, that's a good thing for crypto, right?
Yeah, but also, so remember, there's fees there. So when you onboard, you're talking, imagine the revenue source that Facebook could have and instantly be able to back a 1-to-1 ratio on that. I think fairly easy. If they were to do a stable coin and then even so do you remember they created 2 metaverses. They created the metaverse that you could do that crystal clear amazingness. And then they did a metaverse where you could actually buy property and you could walk around. Yep. And there were a lot of people during COVID and stuff like that going in and buying this metaverse and everything like that. But they had to shut it down because of what was actually happening with regulation by enforcement. So imagine if they get that up and running again, there are going to be people billionaires, metaverse billionaires.
But the other point is that now there's 14,000 stable coins, only 4 matter. The rest of them can't. Even PayPal stablecoin, which only has a $400 million market cap, is like the number 5th stablecoin, and it only has that much because they converted a bunch of internal accounts in people's accounts. They send them prompts. You have $300 in your account. Would you like to switch it over to stablecoins? And a lot of people are into crypto. Said, yeah, I'll do that. And every other one every other company, every other country, Euro coins, Algerian coins, Australian stable coins, they're all right around $10 market cap. And the reason is that in all of these markets, first wins. Tether is first, Circle's first. They're the big guys. Binance, famously hooked up with Tether and said, all right, so all our trading pairs are going to be on Tether. So now, the largest exchange in the world, it's not like Facebook can just come in and say, oh, we're going to be number 1. They could be if they force all their people to use stable coins. Sure. Are MasterCard and Visa going to say we want to be part of it? Of course, for onboarding and offboarding. Most people on Facebook, I would imagine, have to onboard via credit, or debit. But a lot goes into credit. So I see that as is an Elizabeth Warrenism. And I also, as my skeptical self of knowing how history, it may not always repeat itself, but it rhymes. Back in the day, there was a million banks and everybody offering currencies and IOUs and warrants on the stock and their blah, blah, this and that kind of stuff. And it all failed because you really need just one strong thing to work. And it works better when there's one strong thing. And when all of these guys have their own stuff and they make their own little worlds, everybody will be great until one of them fails. And then everybody will say, wait, if they can fail, these guys can fail. Well, I'll just put my money in dollars. You know?
Well, what I find interesting with a lot of that is the yield for staking you can get. And I think some places, you're getting 7, 8, 10%. And so I look at it, and so this is where I do I struggle with this, right? I think stablecoins are needed. But like China can buy a ton of stablecoin and receive 5-6%, right? And they stake it versus like right now they, if they own crypto, the only way that they can really, they've stopped buying our bonds. They've talked about we're no longer buying your bonds because of what's happening with the trade war and everything that's happening. They've already been selling bonds, literally simply because the global trade. They
also need to raise cash for their economy.
Right. And so they've been literally just selling out bonds so they can, as Tom says, raise cash for the economy so they can pay people. But on the back end here, they can also buy stable coins and receive a higher rate for staking it. And so I wonder how many countries are actually doing that, right, from it. And so it's just little things like that I'm paying attention to, going, and thinking about how that could work. And I think there is a grain of validity to Warren's processy, but again, she's hyperbolic in many of her claims, and they're just flatly wrong, right? And we know that in crypto, but there is some weight to what she says in relationship to allowing major countries that aren't pro-American to really go ahead and back up and receive yield. And so it's kind of hard. So this is where like I fight with that thought process of, and like again, the idea of drug dealers and all these people doing nefarious things in relationship to it for crypto. We know that's just a bunch of lies that they try to use to fearmonger.
Right. Well, I'm willing to bet that Facebook is not going to have some coin where they have yield and all this type of stuff. I'm willing to bet they have a stable coin which has fees.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not you get paid. It's you pay us, and every transaction will have credit card like. It'll be less than using your card, so they can say if you pay in Facebook bozos, you can like a credit card fee will be 1.5% or 2%. They'll say it's only 0.75%, so they make fees on it. It's essentially like paying the gas fee, and it won't be. It probably used within Meta. It won't be blockchain with gas. It'll if it's an internal blockchain, it'll be gasless since they're running it and don't need gas. But they'll have fees because for sure, that's how you make billions of dollars. You feed people to death. And frankly, that's how the market is. People don't mind paying. If you tell somebody you're going to pay $700 in fees for the year if you use our product, people will be like, doing this, get that guy, you're out of it. No way. But if you tell them, no, you're going to pay, 15 cents every time you use it, they're like, that's fine. How much did it cost you? Well, it cost me $700 this year.
Yeah,
the power of the psyche, huh?
This is where I went and bought a car, and that's why yesterday I was having issues in regards to getting here, but anyways, the reason I'm saying this is, and by trading, I'm kind of a salesman. I did door-to-door knocking for multiple organizations, so I could get good at just being able, so I can be in front of the market during the daytime, and then door guys come knocking your door around 4:30 to about 8, 9. So it allowed me to be able to focus what I needed to. And there was a point, but one of the things I was always so shocked is that I would try to go over the contract with people, like, look, in detail, and people would sit there and go like, I don't care, just I know what and I go, no, you need to know these. And I lost deals by being too detailed to help people out, because I was like, look, you need to know these things so that you don't get screwed over. And people just didn't care. And a lot of times it's that way with the details out there. People don't care. And I feel like the details are the most important things out there. And so watching Zuckerberg go through and do what he's doing, I want to know what he's doing. Again, if there's two, we've talked about this, there are two organizations that could really kind of jack things up around the world. One is Telegram, right? Like,
yep.
And the other one was Facebook. And we've talked about this. And the idea that, Telegram was told, no, you can't do a stable coin. Like, you can't. There's no way you would. Again, because it would literally fight the face of governments. You could circumvent things and you can use it. So now I do like more Facebook because it's more central and you can kind of see what's going in on it. But again, there's going to be some type of, and again, I'm a libertarian. So for me, I don't like the government in, but it's like, what reality do you want to live in?
I don't want to live in the Facebook reality. I hate that platform. And Instagram is pretty, that's part of the Meta group, and that's really just toilet material. I mean, the poor magazine industry. I mean, magazine used to have all sorts of magazines have on the back of the crapper, and you could, I still have one for that rare time when you forget you get in there and you're like, suddenly it's like watching a car accident in slow motion, like, I forgot my phone, but it's too late.
Did you know that there's been an increase in hemorrhoids in men?
Totally believe it. Totally believe it.
You know why, people? Because
Instagram.
Sitting on the toilet way too long looking at your phone.
What I have to do is I have to read or look at the videos that Mrs. Striking sent me. Because if I don't watch them, she'll be like, you didn't look at the videos I sent you. Why not? They're funny. And I get them. I'm like, they're not so funny. And then I send her ones about poop and farting.
A hand would come out. Hand goes,
and not only that, but I've spoken about this before, that Meta knows where almost everyone, and this is a United States study, almost everyone in the United States, Meta knows where and when you poop.
Yep, literally.
Because you hold your phone in the same place, the accelerometers are reading the same thing, and you use the same programs. And they know, the big data goes, Tom's early today. Now let's go check his diet, see what he's been eating. And his credit card said that he used this stuff. Yep, he's going to be early tomorrow again, too. Let's send him these ads instead.
Exactly. You know what's funny? I started getting, what's the word? I never got dandruff stuff. And it was really interesting. I was like, I don't got dandruff. Why are they sending me these ads? Bro, you're not going to believe it. I realized like today, or a couple days ago, I was sitting there, I was like, I got dandruff. What?
You know how they know that? You didn't buy enough laundry detergent recently. That's why.
No, I
because it relates to how dandruff is caused by a bacteria, and if you don't wash your pillowcases every 4.5 days, the bacteria breeds on there, and then it is. So they know if you're a single person. I read this article and I totally believe it. They say you're not buying enough laundry detergent for your demographic. They know that you're likely to, I get dandruff too, and I have since I was 5 for some reason. It drives me crazy.
I gotta admit, I don't wash my pillowcases often. Maybe
single men rarely do. Let me tell you that.
3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, it literally it has to be once a week or less.
Okay. Now I know.
Or just boil the shit. But it's got to be the same time you wash your hair with Head and Shoulders. Otherwise, the bacteria just says, I'm coming to the new stuff. Thanks for this new clean pillow to lay on.
Okay. That's good to know then. I didn't know that. That's
well,
good to know.
you know what? I bet this is your challenge, Pedro. I am more than certain you can come up with a potion that's a more organic and natural way of doing it rather than, tea tree oil and some other stuff. You'll walk
you
down the
feel it?
street and like, I got rid of my dandruff, and people be like, God damn, what does that smell? Whoa, it's garlic and tea tree oil. Jesus.
But it'll only be there for about 10 days, 8 days, and then I'm good. But it probably will. Honestly, bro, it's probably going to.
Well, the neighbors are calling the hazmat
garlic.
team. There's something going on in here. Jesus, I can't smell it.
Smells like dead people.
Woo, 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 woo.
No, that's funny. You know what? I actually
During that discussion, our Rumble crowd went from 18 to 9.
Oh, look, we gotta come on.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, we gotta focus here. So jumping back here to our guys, you know what was interesting though, and jumping back to Facebook, is that Facebook they're on another level. Like they are on another scale compared to any other business in the world. Their influence of being able to, and this is again, is a good thing and a bad thing. And I do love the more dominant Zuckerberg. I like the fact that the man's like, listen, I'm a libertarian. He's finally at that. What is he, like 35 now? And there's that age where you just stop caring, like that 35 to 40, 45. Like, Elon Musk.
Well, he's got FU money, so
Yeah.
You get to be old enough, and you're like, I've been working. He's been working every day since he was 18 or 17. Zuckerberg on this Facebook thing, and finally, he's got a couple $100 billion, or not a couple $100 billion, but whatever many billions.
Whatever.
After a while, you're like Bezos. He finally just said, "Screw it. Let me just buy this massive, giant boat that's outrageous and cruise the world. Be done with this nonsense working."
And him and his wife are cool. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that. Although I moved the Facebook article off, and I have the market. It went all the way up to 108,400. I closed my trade out at 107.99 something. Went up another 400 points. And still seems like it has some legs there. Stochastics are down, although RSI is down as well. And it's got a short-term trend up.
You know what I think is really interesting? When I think about what we're seeing in the current circumstance with Trump, I mean, I was actually listening to Coin Bureau this morning as I was basically finding out I have like 50 freaking subscriptions. But what was really interesting that they were talking about is Trump's idea of that meme coins are a collectible, and then how the government is, and this that I find so interesting is we all know meme coins can become can create stable coins, can become a legit real entity. Look at Doge, look at Shiba Inu.
Right.
Pepe's becoming to the point where it is a juggernaut. They've got millions of people in the community. They are becoming, so it's going to be really interesting to sit there and see when meme coins really kick in. If Trump coin is going to be considered much more than I hate to say it, a meme coin. I mean, it already holds value. You already have access to the president. And I wonder if we're going to see some type of like backlash from either the far left or even the central left of like, hey, this is starting to become a little.
There's some backlash going on in our cities right now.
We'll talk about it. What do you mean?
But even, we're talking about the crap going on in LA, but I was just looking at a map and the Chicago Sun-Times. It's even going on in Chicago. Not the Sun-Times, but the here's the governor of Illinois got summoned to Washington, D.C. to say, why have you created a disaster of a state? Let's see, they updated the page here. Anyway, there was a map showing that these things are happening in Chicago now, and it showed the protests. There's a bunch of kids out there. First of all, there's no raids in Chicago. The ICE came through Chicago right at the beginning of the whole thing and arrested all the violent criminals. And crime and the murder rate has plummeted in Chicago. You can you imagine it? We arrested all of these hardened criminals. Yeah, even the Mayor Johnson was online the other day talking about how his policies have caused crime to come crashing down. And everyone was like, no, we arrested 1,300 guys that commit violent crimes every day. That's all these guys do. They don't have jobs. They're like, oh, you got me there. I better go back to work. They can only rob people and murder and rape and all this type of stuff. So the crime rates come down in Chicago because of these arrests. But people were fine. They're like, okay, whatever, it's okay. A couple of people freaked out, but it wasn't a big deal. They're like, this guy had 17 murder raps in Venezuela. We're sending him back. They're like, oh, sorry. And so Chicago has been fine. But so these kids are out there protesting, ICE is bad, and it's just the Chicago police out there like, come on, man, we got a downtown to run here. We got to keep things going. And they're like, you're evil. It's just the local cops, it's not the feds. It's not National Guard or anything like that. And so they weren't really prepared for it. So the cops had said, we've had enough of this. So they went a whooping and a beating, and the media didn't take it too well. They should
whooping and a beating.
Ride into town, give them the old number 6.
That is funny.
The media didn't take it to, and I shouldn't say the mainstream media. I should say that if there's 10 protesters, there's 30 vloggers there.
Yeah.
And all thinking that they're going to get the shot that's going to make them rich. And when there's 30 vloggers or 50 or 60, they can't even sell the video for anything. But anyway, the governor of Illinois got summoned to Washington and defended the sanctuary city policies. And when it was pointed out that his sanctuary city policies created this giant mess, I might add, with the healthcare system too, because the county in Chicago pays for the indigent healthcare, which and the state has had to send them a lot of extra money. Mm-hmm. And then the crime rate, and they estimated that the victims, crime has a price, not just enforcing the law, but the resulting victim price is in the many billions of dollars in healthcare. From every time someone gets shot, it's many millions of, not killed, but shot and lives. It's many millions of dollars in healthcare. Every time someone gets the crap beat out of them, it's can be $1 million in healthcare. And a lot of these, because they're fighting other immigrants, they're not in healthcare systems. They're in the county healthcare system. So we taxpayers have to pay for this, which is a disaster. And then, of course, when they say when we took all these people out, they were the violent criminals, things are getting a lot better, and they are. I can tell you that from watching the news in Chicago. And the governor's like, oh no, we have to, we're Americans, we have to give these people a chance and all stuff. And they're like, no, we're talking about murderers. It drives me crazy.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point here. It's like, I really look forward to seeing like your friend who is in crypto, who literally has the not spy, it's the wrong word, where you can report crime that's happening and actually get paid for it, right? I think things like that are going to become, one, you're going to snitch on a lot of people and get stitches. But apart from that, there are going to be people that are going to get paid, honestly, and they're going to become literally career spotters, like XYZ, boom, you have this going on, you got paid ducats, right? Boom. And obviously they'll become, I think they're going to become a lot more. That thing was so, even though it's not talked about much, you're going to be able to, what did they call it? Would you call it it was for crime. You know what I'm talking about, or no? You look like you're in the deer.
Yeah, I was waiting to see that next word, and it didn't come out.
It's the guy that you had to come on, who's part of.
Ice Raid.
Ice Raid. Wow, I couldn't remember that. That was so hard. Holy crap. Yeah, Ice Raid, man. That is huge. I think that was something that you could get paid for, and honestly make quite. Yeah,
they're trying to get that, to get people to use it in these protests and things like that.
Yeah. That's exactly.
In fact, I need to check in on that and see how it's going.
But this is what I'm saying for crypto to really start. One, I went to go pick up a car that I bought, and as we were sitting there, we're going over the paperwork and everything, and it was so interesting that as I was sitting there, one of the guys was talking about how there's all these, scams out there, and somebody's like, yeah, NFTs, and I go, no, it's the opposite. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, it's what I do, man. You know, like I look at this scam stuff and I go, okay, explain to me how NFTs can be a scam in a sense where you can get screwed over. I mean, you make the decision, you can buy it's all there.
Right.
He goes, yeah, but it's not worth it. It's just a digital picture. I said, exactly. But you know what it is. How is that a scam? It's just your own stupidity. If you buy it for millions of dollars, you can only sell it for 10. That's your own fault. Right. Like you didn't really go through just because he goes, well, it's a Ponzi scheme. And then he goes like Madoff. And I go, Madoff? That's a totally different industry because you literally
he was actually a crook.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, not just crook, but you actually had government agencies that were actually kind of helping out there a little. You also had major organizations that were getting paid by him that were literally set up in a way where you had money funneling money. So it wasn't necessarily that open. Whereas here, if in crypto, you decide you're going to do a big payout, as soon as you pull that money into traditional fiat, they immediately know. And now there are government agencies around the world that pay attention to all these government agency sites, that run government agency sites that pay attention to when you fraud somebody on the blockchain, they immediately know where to go within a mile radius.
Right.
You know, and so it's one of those things, I think, like, anyways, I say this because the idea of being able to catch nefarious situations that are actually happening compared to fiat cash is one of those things that is on the back end going away, just that stigma to it. And as people actually start to educate themselves and understand how the blockchain works, you'll sit there and be like, oh, okay, I get this, why this is good. And so I had to explain this guy. I was like, this is maybe what you do, but it's literally my life. I'm just saying, I understand the blockchain, I understand all this stuff. And so it was kind of funny to sit down and like, I wasn't calling him an idiot. I wasn't being a jerk. I was just like, look, let's walk this through here because you sound like you're Elizabeth Warren lover. You know? Anyways,
everyone loves Pocahontas.
Who doesn't, man?
Well, Pedro, we're getting a little long in the tooth here.
Yeah, we are. And we get up to 17 though. Did we get another?
Nope. I've been paying attention to it, trying to see it, but we've read all the ads they've offered us, and we've had the crowd. Got 25 people watching this live right now. Thanks to everyone on YouTube watching.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Even the viewer over there on Twitch, we see you there. There was up to 3 at one point on Twitch, so thank you very much. And it doesn't tell me the X platform viewers. The API doesn't grab the views for some reason.
Yeah.
This is I don't know if it'll come through on the ad here. There's a meme in the little box here. It shows a guy, 2 frames. There's one guy who looks like one of the Wayans brothers, comedians.
Yeah.
And it says rioters and looters on him. And then there's a dead guy in a lazy boy chair. It says Los Angeles. And then the bottom part of the frame says, how could Donald Trump do this to us? But it's them doing it to themselves, you know.
Yeah. Or like the old things that you saw with during Savasa sickness, when you had all the people rioting, right? And they were like this, but then when you panned out, it was really somebody, like, it looked like bombs were getting thrown at him. It was really like the other side doing, like, you know, flamethrowers, and they're laughing, and it was like it was all staged. It literally still reminds me of Hunger Games at the last one, when there's.
I am not an aficionado of those things.
Oh yeah, it's actually a good example of either the far left and the far right painting a picture that isn't legit, and it doesn't show the heart of the populace that is just under struggle. You know, whether it's far left or far right, it's still the same type of narrative that they just want control. And it's sad. I hope that we can kind of come back to the middle, and the people who are in the middle can say, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with you 100%, but I mean, our kids go to the same schools, and we hang out, we drink beer at the same pub, and 80% of your politics I agree with. You know, nobody likes getting attacked by crime-ridden criminals or criminals
crime-ridden criminals.
I mean, they just
those darn crime-ridden criminals.
Life criminals who keep getting let out of the situation. They go right back into hurting people. It's just saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the witching hour here. We had a nice crowd on Rumble today. Thank you very much. Read some good ads from 1775 Coffee. Please, if you haven't bought it, scroll back in the video, click our QR code and go buy it so we can get credit for that. I know nobody will do that, but I have to say that. And we had a decent crowd on YouTube, but still, once again, Rumble has been kicking YouTube's butt in more ways than one, and that is getting the quality content we provide out to viewers. And YouTube is kind of just like, meh, whatever.
They don't care about us no more. We lost love. Later, Crypto Mikey.
Anyway, thanks to all you viewers. Crypto Mike, really appreciate it. We'll give Mike the last comment of the day here, giving us the wave off. Anyway, that's all we got for you today. As always, the man in the box next to me is none other than Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, and Pedro Damas extraordinaire. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media universe. So glad to have hosted another great episode of this show. We will see you tomorrow, so be there.